Hey, I'm Mike Sheridan and you're very welcome to The Delve. This week my guest is Philip Magee. Philip is one of the top music producers in Ireland. The Swords native, Northside, represent, has worked with some of the biggest bands in Europe, including Kodaline, The Script and The Blizzards, as well as emerging superstars like The Academic. Philip Magee.
Michael.
Philip, Michael, Mike, well, we don't know what to call each other.
Philip.
Philip.
I'm Mike.
I'm Mike. Oh,
Philip.
okay.
Philip. Sorry.
Because we know each other. We know each other a long time.
Around 10 years. I think.
Longer than that. I think even when we were like, I'm old now. I'm 36 now, so it would have been 1920. And I remember, I would have been 1920. I don't know. You were
in 1920.
In 1920.
In 1920, it was like
we're like time travelers. What's going on here exactly?
Around 2003 or 2004, maybe.
But I always remember you were. Obviously, you were always into the music. You kind of started
the
off
music.
The music.
You sound like a mother. The music.
You kids on your music, your popular music. Yeah. And I remember, I think I remember you and Fiona, who's your wife. Yeah. I know a long time as well. I remember you, I think, stayed over in my brother's apartment. I remember you were working on a song at the time. I remember being so jealous because I think I was working in retail or something at the time in college.
Okay, yeah.
But you were working away on a song on your laptop and you had all the software and stuff. I remember thinking, that's so cool.
I remember that now. That was a nice pad your brother had.
Yeah, it was. He still has it.
Oh, it was nice. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah. It's just something I've always done. I was a musician to start off with as a kid. You know, playing Guns N' Roses and Tin Lizzy and blues, and I just kind of fell in love with records and kind of gone, how do they do this? Just kind of magic that you're listening to. So I just had a love for it. So then I fell into recording and audio engineering and microphones, and that's led me to your brother's apartment with a laptop 15 years ago. Yeah.
The engineering is where it started, right?
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah.
My knowledge on this is strictly constrained to the defiant ones on Netflix. That's what Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre.
Brilliant.
So I'm assuming it's all the same, right?
Without as much success from that documentary.
Yes, you're getting there.
So you start off, with the audio engineering. So I did anyway. Well, from being a musician to the engineering, to again listening to records, going, how does this happen? And then at home with dictaphones, little recorders, VHS machines, I was making little multi-track recorders when I was 13, 14. So I just had a love for it, and then went to sound college and licked it up. Licked it up, yeah.
So you were a musician as well. You are a musician as well.
Yeah.
So was the dream then to kind of, I want to be in the bands? No, you have been, but is the dream then to be, you want to play guitar, you want to front the band, you want to play piano, whatever it is?
Oh yeah, the dream when you're a kid is to be Slash.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you just want to be
just
in a rock
standing on stage.
Yeah, you just want to be in a
cool.
rock band, just being a guitar god, and then that kind of, you see the kid next door to you playing better, and you're like, oh, I want to record him, So no, I want to be a musician, and I'm a studio musician. I don't play live or anything. I kind of hobble together parts or melodies in my head. So then the next step for me, I was in school. I quit school at my junior cert. I went straight to sound engineering college.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I just ducked out, and because I was already teaching in the college doing summer camps for kids, and the college said, hey, do you want to come here in September? We know you hate school. We'll pull a few wires, And I was like, yes, please, yeah, let's do this. So I went straight to college from junior cert, which was one of the best things I've ever done. And I did music technology and music production and all that. And it was fantastic.
But you obviously had a gift for it from very early on. If somebody's spotting that when you're kind of in your mid-teens, really.
I had a grow for it. I wouldn't call it a gift, Like, as I was saying, when I was playing guitar, I was on my own in my bedroom and I wanted to play the rhythm guitar and then play the lead guitar, but you can't do that. So I would have recorded myself on the dictaphone, on the cassette machine, got another dictaphone, played that really loud on the speakers, and then play my little solo on top. And so that was my introduction to recording myself, my own kind of ego-filled guitar playing. And then I was like, oh, when I add drums to this, and I'd have my Casio keyboard, be layering tracks with a video machine as well. That was my third track. So I had 2 dictaphones and a tape machine all wired together and making tracks. So it was just kind of an evolution. And then listening to records, listening to whatever, Tin Lizzy and Led Zeppelin, and going, wow, how do they do that? How do they do all this stuff? So it's just a deep fascination and love for it,
And I remember you were, the first job, you want to talk about one of the first jobs you had, because I remember we were dropping you off at the studio one day. It was a old studio in Glasnevin.
Yeah.
It was very cool. I'd never seen anything like that before, and you were very kind. You brought us in and you kind of showed us around. And then Brian McFadden came in with Delta Goodrum.
Yes.
And I was sitting there in a shoe t-shirt. I was like mortified. But that was the first job you had as first paid job as an engineer.
It was. That's when I was a professional engineer, and I was the house engineer. It was called Chili Studios at the time, and it was amazing. You'd have all these pop stars flying in from around Europe just to record in the studio, and I was recording them all. So it was the best training in the world. You're thrown into the deep end, 2 o'clock in the morning, Sisco's coming in from Milan, and he's do vocals, and you're like, can you not do it in the morning? The kind of way you're going in and you're trying to make sure it sounds like those American pop records, which is, you haven't been trained to do that. So you're kind of learning on the job to be professional and be good and quick and snappy, and to make sure the client is happy, making sure it sounds on point, sounds perfect. So that place is just the most amazing training ground for making commercial music. Because all these bands and singers and artists, and then the different egos and temperaments and attitudes that you had to deal with. So it was a beautiful place to work in.
I remember we had Chrissy Dingham, and he was actually one of our first guests on the show. I know you produced their last Aslan's last record, and that's something that he said back in the day, like in what had been the early 90s when Aslan kind of took off again for a second time, when you would hear Irish songs played on the radio, you could tell the difference between an Irish produced song and an American produced song.
Okay,
So that's something that you obviously wanted to, I mean, maybe you'd already had eroded by the time you came along.
I listened to mainly American music as a child, American kind of folk and blues, R&B, as in, like 50s R&B, the Stax, Booker T and the MGs. So there's a deep love for that kind of authentic recording, stuff that was timeless, like Motown as well. You can still listen to it now and groove to it. So I never knew where it was recorded, but that was the music I loved. A lot of soul, a lot of depth, a lot of emotion. The Americans did emotion on their records really well. They didn't care who knew they were sad or upset or angry. They just captured it. So that was something that I wanted, So I don't know if it was Irish or English or American. It was just, it's about getting that energy on the record. So when you listen to your little white earphones, that you're feeling something, it wasn't just music in time or in tune or catchy. It needs to be another level beyond that. So, like what Chris was saying, that you just want to make records that kind of resonate with people, that have soul and depth, that can help.
But the production end to it is obviously the most important part. The bands need to get their albums or their EPs together, wherever it is, to get to play those stadiums, to get to play those gigs in front of thousands of people.
Well, the big word is production. I don't think people know what production is.
That's it.
It's a very mystical word, like production. It's like,
there's a studio and there's some microphones and Dr. Dre is there. That's all,
it. And then some people will hear like a pop song with very complicated kind of programming and drum machines and synths, and they go, I love that production. But that's not the production, that's just the instrumentation. That's the programming. Production is the capturing of the whole record. How does it feel? How it kind of conveys to you as a listener. That's what production is, the capturing of the song. So you listen, one of my favourite producers would be Rick Rubin, a lot of people know from
Johnny Cash's
last records, last 7 records, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Tom Petty to Jay-Z, But his style of production is just about the song and getting it to its rawest form without complications. So you listen to that Johnny Cash record, and a lot of it's just a guitar and a vocal. But the production is amazing.
It feels quite raw, but there's obviously a lot goes into making it feel like that.
So much goes into it. Like, anybody can record a song with a guitar, an acoustic guitar, and a vocal. But it doesn't sound like that Johnny Cash, Rick Rubin recording. First of all, you're not Johnny Cash. But it's also what Rick Rubin did.
You.
Like, what engineers he put around it, what musicians, So that's the production of it. The whole capturing of the album.
Yeah. You've worked, like I said, there's a limited amount of information about you online. Obviously, I know you, and I know some of the bands and stuff that you've worked with as well. But you've worked at, was it Kodaline's first album that you worked on?
I've worked on all the albums. Yeah, I've worked with Kodaline.
From their first album?
I've worked with them since Dot. Basically, they were a band called 21 Demands. And from that studio, Chili Studios, Brian McFadden's studio, I was a judge at a talent show in the Christian Brothers and Swords. And the band were 21 Demands, and I was the judge, and the prize was 2 days in the studio with me. So they won. It wasn't a fix. And they came.
Get some emails over that?
They came in and did their first kind of recordings with me, and we did loads of songs. And then from the back of that, we kept on recording, and they got signed. So I've recorded all their albums since. Really, I've been with them over 10 years now. Yeah, it's been amazing. That's just a big chapter in my life is Kodaline.
So, and that must be amazing to kind of see the evolution of a band like that and the popularity. And it's happened obviously more than once with bands that you've worked with, artists that you've worked with.
Yeah.
But see an evolution of a band like that and the popularity just kind of explode inside that bubble.
That's the most exciting thing for me. Because a few people have said, would you love to work with like Coldplay or something? I'm like, not really. Like, I like Coldplay. Their records all sound great. I don't think they need me. They're fine. They're doing good. You know, the kind of way. Plus, I'd rather see going from infancy and see the artist grow before you and, help direct them and see where to go. I think that's really, really exciting, And that was with Kodaline and, The Script and Academic and Wild Duty. Just, you see them going from young bands not having band names almost and a few songs to getting that one radio hit, to getting that second radio hit, getting that support tour, getting the right publisher, getting the right management, and just helping all of those things come together. Because it's a huge lottery. It's a big, doesn't mean these are the best bands in the world. You know, it's all to do with time, weather, luck, who knows, you know. But it's fascinating watching that whole journey for these artists.
Does it feel like you're a part of the band when you hear those songs on radio, or you hear those, you know, you see them go on tour, get those slots, and then blow? Do you feel you must feel a part of it?
On the record, yeah. I think when you're doing an album, and any producer or engineer, anybody in the studio will notice, when you're making that kind of creative project, it's an art form at that stage. It's not a product. It's an art form, and at that stage, you feel like you're a band of brothers or a team or a band together, you know, and it's a really special time because everybody's trying to do it for the one simple reason, to serve the song, because we all know the song is going to last a million years. There's no point being lazy about this, no point being lazy with the lyric, no point being lazy getting the wrong tempo. You're putting everything into it. Phones are off, internet's down, you're there in the middle of wherever, arsehole of Ireland, and you're making a record. And that's really, really exciting. So every time you hear it on the radio, then when you're in a coffee shop or in a Q Centra getting your wedges, you remember, brings you right back. When they go live, I don't feel part of the band. That's a whole different world. You just love watching.
You've done your job today.
You love watching them go and see what happens, and the songs get translated and fans take them in different ways. That's just beautiful to watch. But that's them flying. But
that must be the ultimate goal, you know, as a producer, as an engineer, as somebody who helps put this music together, to see one song have a legacy. You know, I listen to like 80s stuff now, be it Peter Cetera, whoever, that I listened to when I was growing up, and even now every once in a while I dip back to it on Spotify, and you must think these songs have really stood the test of time for some people.
It's fantastic because there's very few jobs you get to create something and then watch it go away. I always kind of equate it to like a carpenter building a boat. You know, he's built it, took him 2 years in a workshop, and then set sail, and it goes off for the next 30 years. It's the same with songs. It's fascinating. You just get to see them go away. So you'd have dozens or hundreds of songs just floating around, and people coming to you going, oh, that was our wedding song, or this song did that, or, you know, it's just beautiful to watch. They mean stuff to people, you know.
Yeah.
Or especially when you do like a B-side that no one's heard of, and someone comes up and go, my goodness, that song means so much to me. It's helped me, you know. You're like, oh, that's amazing.
Springsteen said that about Murder Incorporated. It was a song he never did live because I think it was obscure for him, and it was massive catalogue of music that he had. But somebody would turn up to every gig. Joey would take requests every single gig and put Murder Inc. on it, so we would play it. So it's more when it connects with that smaller audience, it just seems to mean more to them.
It can do, yeah. It's just, you know, I think music is a kind of a saviour for a lot of young people. Like, I know going to school, wearing the earphones, listening to whatever album I'd be listening to, either like crazy jazz music or hard rock or blues music. That kind of helped me get to school and get me out of school as well. You know, just when you're young and you just kind of tap into that world for 20 minutes, 40 minutes. So anytime I'm making a record now, I always think of 14-year-old me or a 14-year-old girl, kind of just, because they can smell a rat as well. They know crap music. They know if it's crap. You know, like a good, clever kid. So you want to make sure it's quality. You're not trying to cheat someone. The lyrics actually are realistic. They're real. And you're just trying to create that energy, you know, for them to enjoy.
So what happens then if you're in the studio with, you know, be it Wild Youth or The Academic or maybe one of the lads from Kodaline's putting music together, or The Script or whatever. How much input do you have in terms of, like, obviously the lyrics are pre-written, or are you like, that might sound better, this might sound better?
It differs greatly because
the band are open to...
Yeah, the bands are always open because you have to always remember you're serving the song and not you. So no one's trying to say, I wrote more lyrics or I did the guitar part. You're trying to see what the song wants. And that's why with those bands you even mentioned, they're all fantastic in the studio because none of them are saying, where's my guitar solo? You might have the guitarist playing like a glockenspiel or something. They're doing whatever's best for the song. And the same with me, I might write some lyrics in the song, or I mightn't, or I might rearrange the whole structure. You know, that chorus is too long, it's in the wrong key, different tempo. But then there's some songs the band come in, you set up microphones, they play, and you go, oh, magic.
That's perfect.
I'm not going to touch nothing. Come on in, lunch, pub, everybody, pub. You know?
But you always have to build that relationship with the bands, and you've worked with these bands multiple times. That's obviously something that's not there from early on. They have to be able to trust you. You have to be able to know that you can give an opinion and it not to be taken an offence or whatever.
Yeah, we want it to be there from I like it to be there from very early on, but to achieve that can be complicated. So the important thing is, a band just doesn't walk into the studio Monday morning and go, hello, my name's Philip, let's record a song. It's really important that we do pre-production. It's really important that we email, we text, we have a funny WhatsApp group. I go meet up in their rehearsal room. You know, I'm in their lines then. I go over and meet them, see what their songs are like, listen to a batch of songs. We don't just record a song. I need to listen to 15, 20 songs from the one artist before we pick one song to record. So there's a big whittling down process. So by the time that's all done, we walk in the studio, we're all high-fiving and knowing who takes sugar in their tea and all of these things. So no, because when you're in the studio and you want to make sure all the guards are down. If there's a 17-year-old boy singing about his dead dog, you don't want the rest of the band slagging him or something like that, kind of that weird sense.
He needs to be able to expose himself.
And everybody else needs to be open. Say, oh my goodness, that was a terrible situation that happened, and be completely open to it. Because it's not all, yeah, and then go in and just do an emotive vocal. You can't do that. It needs to be very true, honest, human,
But I mean,
break it down.
Somebody's on stage playing in front of 35,000 people, whatever it is, or playing stadiums and all that stuff. There's going to be an ego attached with that.
Yeah.
So do you find that these, I suppose, rock stars, for want of a better phrase, that when they come to you, well, obviously you have a reputation now, but at least at first, that they're open to it. They're like, okay, you kind of need to be willing to be wrong sometimes, and willing to be corrected.
Exactly. But you also have to be conscious, being the music producer, that these songs are their babies. They've listened to it for 4 years. Their family have told them the song is brilliant. Therefore, it's brilliant, but it mightn't be brilliant. So you have to be conscious of that. So when you walk into the rehearsal room, they've got their guitar in front of them, which is their battle axe, the kind of way, their shield, defense shield. So when you're going in, you have to be careful how you appraise their little babies to start off with. But then also be honest, you're not trying to say, it's amazing, You have to be very honest because you want the song to be amazing, to be brilliant, to go forward. So you have to choose your words carefully at the start, depending on the person. You have to measure them up. And then from there, it's if you're using honesty but in a nice tone, I think most people are receptive of it. Because at the end of the day, they've called you to help them. Because most artists are brilliant, but if they're very, very defensive, then they don't need a music producer. They just need a sound engineer. Do it yourself.
Has that happened before with bands? Obviously you don't have to name any. Was that before where they've come in and they've been a bit more guard, and you've kind of gone, well, look, I can put it together for you in terms of brass tacks, but that's not what I do now. I'm a
very
producer.
rarely. No, I think young musicians and bands have their heads screwed on. They're highly educated to what the music industry is, to what the creative process is. I think a lot of them are actually really happy with having some external guidance, and then it usually does click. So I think they're really receptive to it because they know you're trying to better their song. I'm not trying to set myself up as a solo singer and nick their tune and go off, like 1942. Yeah, so that's not happening. So they know he's trying to better this. Let's hop on. Let's go for it. And obviously we'll question stuff and, we buzz off each other. It's fantastic.
And obviously the level that you're at now and, the success that you've had over the past few years, do you have artists you might have been fans of or bands you might have been fans of come to you now and be like, we'd really like to work together? And is that still a surreal thing? Yeah,
it's happened a few times and it's like, whew, no, you don't want me. You're mad. Jeez, I love you. I can't, that does happen the odd time, but it's just like, that kind of blows your mind. And you're like, and then you hop on the train and it's brilliant fun, and you try and do justice.
There must be a bit of pressure then, because when somebody that you've kind of looked at, maybe idolised, whatever it is, listen to their music, admire their music, admire them as artists and creative types, to then be like, right, this is kind of on me now. Yeah,
it's like don't meet your kind of famous heroes or never meet comedians, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that because they're such big artistic characters and you're like, oh, I love that person. What am I going to talk about?
Well, that happens to me like with interviews. If you interview somebody you're a huge fan of and they turn out to not be particularly nice in person, you've got to see their movies or consume whatever it is they make or see them on the cover of magazines for years and think, oh, I messed up that interview.
Yeah, it can happen. But the great thing about movies is a different one. The same with comedy because you don't know what that person's like because they're lying professionally. The same with comedians. They're just, you don't know what's... I guess
it's an act.
I get super starstruck when I meet comedians. I don't know, because I love comedy and I don't know what to say. There's nothing you can say apart from just a nod. But with musicians, thankfully, even when you meet the top of the top, you kind of know where they are politically, mentally, ideologies, through their lyrics, through their playing, through their genres. You have a good grasp of what kind of human they are. So it's a lot easier to be in a room with a superstar musician than it is a actor, thespian, comedy man. So it is very cool being in a room with people that you admire. And then more excitingly for me is just kind of younger artists, unknown because this industry is all about finding new music. It's a bit of obsessed about new music at the moment, but it is exciting about finding a new voice, a new singer, a new band that no one's heard that you can kind of tap into. That's really exciting.
Is there anybody you've been in awe of that you've worked with so far, or just not necessarily from fame, but just from pure talent? We've gone, holy shit, they're talented, be it a new band, be it an older artist.
Yeah, it sounds nearly all of them. It sounds terrible, but like even I remember working with Declan O'Rourke years ago. That man just blows me away. His voice. We didn't do a record or anything. We just did a song years and years ago, and his voice just blows me away. Like I'm a fanboy. Like I'm just listening, going, "Oh, you're so good." You know, the kind of way it just blows me away. And the same with most bands. You go. The same with the Academic. Like they're one of the best live bands I've ever heard in the studio. You just set them up with a microphone and hit record, and you're like, this is just. Does
that make your job easier then when the band is so tight? If you're just setting them up with everything they need to be set up with, and then you can just step back.
Tightness is really good, very handy. Musicianship, brilliant. But if the songs are shite, we're all screwed.
That's why they're going to you, Phil.
No, but still, the core of their writing needs to be amazing, and then we can go further, hopefully. So it's all about songs. That's the only thing. That's the only democratic part of the music industry. The music industry is a horrible, tough industry. You know, everybody's trying to outdo each other, pull each other down, record labels. It's a big beast of a machine, you know. But the only democratic aspect of it is good songwriting, because there's formulaic songwriting, and there's formulas to it, but it doesn't always mean it does well. It's to do with the individual in the voice, that how it kind of goes with the lyric, where they're from. There's certain elements we can't control, which is beautiful. And so when you have those elements together, and it's a great song, great artist, a bit of a buzz about it, it just blows up. So it's completely democratic that way, which is what I love about it.
It either works or it doesn't work, and the public are
the public will tell you, like as much, you can sink thousands into PR and sink thousands into photo shoots and whatever, emojis of the band. It's not going to sell records because it's played on radio. It's an invisible art form, you know? There's nothing sexy about music itself. It's just sound waves, you know. So it has to gravitate, you know. Like those kids need to listen to it and love it, and want to dance or do whatever. So that's brilliant. That's why I love music. And
there's a huge amount of luck involved as well with somebody getting the opportunity to go and record with somebody like you, to record at all.
Yeah.
Like I've friends who are like professional athletes who say, be it footballers, be it MMA fighters or whatever, who said, look, I know somebody who played Sunday League who was a better footballer than me. Had all the ability in the world, either just didn't have the mindset or just didn't quite get that break. And is that something you'd see a bit where you could hear somebody live and oh my God, they're amazing, but it never quite felt right for them?
Yeah, you see that. And that's in all walks of life of every industry. That's almost butterfly effect, you know. As I said, that's why sometimes it's nothing to do with just talent, it's to do with luck and timing. You know, like you could have a song, you know, Rihanna's Umbrella mightn't have worked in Ireland this summer. You know, the kind of way she brought it out this year as opposed to 8 years ago, whenever. You know, it's to do with so many different things. It's just pure luck at the end. Once you've all the correct elements in place, then there's luck at the end to see if it happens.
And how do you think the music industry has evolved in the past few years? Because there's been a huge, like, I suppose, since Napster.
Yeah.
There seemed to be that point in the late 90s, early 90s, where there just seemed to be a change and the legal downloads kind of evolved to a place where you can stream legally.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel the music industry has evolved over the last 15 years or so?
It's doing better in the last 2 years, but I think the music industry itself, we're so slow to react to change. It's their own fault. You know, the kind of way they were making a ton load of money. They're making whatever, 18 euros on a CD when we were buying them years ago, to making zero, you know, and they never went with it, like compared to like publishers of books who really embraced it, you know. Like I was talking to a friend this week and he was trying to get an audiobook. He goes, I couldn't illegally download this audiobook. I'm like, all right, well, okay. Because I couldn't. He goes, I can get every song, every album, every movie in the world. Couldn't get it. I spent 20 euros on an audiobook. I'm like, that's amazing. That's really clever. You know, like they really embraced it and just simplified getting books, audiobooks or whatever, ebooks. But the music industry were so behind, I'd say, in the late 90s, early 2000s.
It was kind of one extreme to the other.
Oh, they were just trying to sue them. Everybody's trying to sue each other, trying to sue Pirates Bay. That's not the way to do it. You know change is coming. You know this big internet machine is here and it's going to stay. It's going to send files really quickly. It's going to happen. So you need to embrace it. And that's, like iTunes came in, which a lot of people thought was a bad thing, but they really set the first formula for buying music legally, which was a good thing, you know. So I think at the moment, people are still learning how they're trying to make revenue streams out of music. You know, there's all these accounts on Facebook of like Spotify people only earning 1p out of 10 billion plays, you know, and it's trying to dispel some of the myths, but then also making it fair, because it still isn't fair, but there is a lot of myths as well.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I'd say I could be completely wrong on this, but just as a guess, I would say there's less illegal downloads now in music than there was, you know,
I
15
hope so.
years ago.
I don't know.
It's easier for people to spend, where even if you have Spotify Premium and you're spending a tenner a month,
Yeah.
you know, that's fine. You can do that and listen to all of this amazing music.
I hope so. I say most of the music is legally, most of it is legally listened to now, but then the revenue is just a lot smaller because they're paying subscriptions as opposed to paying for the piece of art, the product. So it's in a really horrible situation for the independent artists, especially, to make a living off it, where before they would sell their CD, 10 euros, 15 euros physically, and you know, they would generate money straight away from it. But just having a subscription on Spotify isn't going to put diesel in the van, you know, so they have to be a lot clever. They have to be gigging a lot more. They're trying to get synchronization deals, getting songs on ads, on TV if they can, trying as much as they can to make a living out of it, because what we want is, we want artists to earn money so they can be artists. You know, we don't want part-time artists. You want full-time artists. You want them creating fully, you know, where if they're bringing out brilliant albums, not getting paid for it, they have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to support their hobby then, as opposed to letting it be in an art form. So that's the thing that kills me at the moment, you know, is that, you know, but hopefully it's getting fairer and fairer, and hopefully artists will, especially independent artists, generate more money, because the labels are making more money now in the last few years than they have in 4 or 5 years. They're making a lot more now. Because
we heard all this whole thing about the music industry being in crisis. And
well, the top of it doesn't seem to be in crisis. The bottom of it is, and the middle is, but the labels are getting fantastic deals from Spotify. You know, we don't know how much an artist, a signed artist gets on Spotify, but an unsigned artist gets minuscule, you know. So yeah, there are issues.
Is that one of the myths? Because that's one of those people I know that are in bands or whatever, and they might have had, you know, million streams, and they think, oh, people think I'm rich, I'm not rich, I earned this. Like Chrissy Dingham said that, he was like, do you know how much money you earn how much money you earn for Crazy World of Spotify? Yeah. But is that the old school versus the new school? Because Christy, obviously, they came up in the early 80s, just as an example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is, like, I think the music industry had it very good in the 90s, in the early 90s and 80s, just with the physical format, CDs, everything. It was just, they're making a fortune, the recording side of it. Where now the industry has changed. Now it's all about the live industry if they're looking to earn money from it. The record now, sadly, doesn't make an awful lot of money. It's almost like a merchandising tool for the live gig, sadly. So it's like a piece of art, and then they have to go on the road and just sell their wares.
It's even remember back in the day, especially in the 90s, because that's when I kind of grew up, and music videos were the absolute, there was such a huge thing. Like David Finch was directing music videos, Mark Romanek, like directing these amazing music videos.
Hype Williams.
Hype Williams did all the hip hop ones, and they were making, like, these videos are costing a couple of $1 million to make. Yeah. And that's just, you know, people are making videos now to put on YouTube.
Yeah, it's completely changed, because there's no outlet for it the way that we used to consume music videos. We used to sit down and watch them. Now
you have to wait for it to come up on MTV.
You have to wait for it to come up and you go, oh, it's on it. But now we go on like YouTube and half watch it while another browser's up and you're doing your accounts. You know, the kind of plus as well. But then it's the same with recording costs. It's a lot cheaper to record now than it was 10, 15 years ago. Technology, you know, it's a lot cheaper. Like years ago in the studio, we'd have a tape machines that would cost whatever 15, 20,000 euros each. We'd have a desk costing whatever 80,000 euros. We'd have 4 members of staff. We'd have a tape op, a T-boy, you know, engineer, head engineer, producer. You know, you'd have
the whole crew of people.
Then there'd be administrative staff then outside. But now it's just the producer in the studio. In a lot of cases, you know, so things have same with music, video production. You know, we can use handheld Canon cameras. We don't need full broadcast teams and OB trucks to do music video anymore. So of course those costs come skyrocketing down, you know.
But that's even something you saw, I think, with the latest Snow Patrol album. You see Gary Lightbody literally setting up a camera in his sitting room and doing like amazing, because he's got an incredible voice, but just doing songs, and then for Facebook Live or for wherever it is, and just getting this massive response. So somebody who's obviously on the ball and sees that, look, I need to evolve with this.
But that's the exciting thing about today's kind of media, is you can directly communicate with the fan. And you don't need loads of technology. You just want good material, good content, you know, good songs, good voice. So it's really, that's the exciting thing. So I was saying the industry in the kind of classic form of it is a bit shite, as I was saying about Spotify and record labels. But the exciting thing is how accessible everything is to an unsigned artist. So 30 years ago, 20 years ago, if you make a record, you'd have to go to a distributor for them to package it and put it into shops. Now you can just put it on Spotify. You've got the same thumbnail, the same square size picture as Dr. Dre has or Beyonce. It's completely democratic again in that world. They can't do anything different than you. So it's a really even platform the way it's distributed now. So that's really exciting. Then also the recording process. If you can't afford to go to a producer or a big studio, you're able to use GarageBand or Logic or any software and get to a pretty good level that'll get you somewhere. Where before you have to do demos, and the demos would cost you €5,000-6,000 to do a demo. So I think that's really exciting for creativity. I love that.
And what do you get on young artists, young producers, young engineers coming to you a lot, looking for an into the music industry and how they get into the music industry? And I just suppose as the younger generation, are they willing to put the work in? Are they a bit deluded about how it happens? We're kind of on the back end now of American Idol, you know, Pop Idol, X Factor. That's kind of seems to be tapering off a little bit now, and it's coming back more to its core values. Yeah,
no, I don't think they're deluded. Any of the young people that contact me they're all just looking to work. They just want to, please get me in. I'll do anything. Let me work, and they'll work for free, which I don't think is good enough either. I think everybody needs to be paid to do a job, but they know how tough the industry is. They grew up in the 2000s of the music industry. They never saw it as with people driving around in Ferraris or Aston Martins as lead singers, So
they'd no notions.
They know notions, no built-in notions.
They grew up with the internet.
They'll add on the notions later, but so they're aware of the industry from their college lecturers, from what's going around, from being a gigging Irish musician. So no, I think they're willing to work incredibly hard. Everyone I've spoken to really on it. They're really on top of their form.
At what point did you feel like personally, you're Irish, I know you, you're not going to be like, I've made it. But at what point did you feel like, that's very cool? Like, did you produce the Kodaline song that was on the Disney movie soundtrack? Yeah. Yeah, that must have been a big one. I remember seeing that and going, no way, that was Phil.
Yeah, you just have little moments. There's so much hard work goes into it and crazy, crazy hours that you never really hear it on the radio, or you're not looking out for it. You're just moving on. You're kind of linear. You're
on the grind. You're working.
You're trooping on, and it's just those little moments where you hear it in a cinema. Or I remember seeing Gogglebox for the first time on Channel 4, and there's 2 Kodaline songs on that I produced on. I was like, that's amazing. That's great. When you hear those little moments, you're just kind of blown away. Or I was watching a football match. Don't know who the band was. I think it was Hermitage Green. And a song I did with them, I don't know who it was. And it was on the football match, for the big kind of new season of football, whatever they do. And the song was the big sting. And I was like, that's amazing.
That feels like you're then a kind of a small part of popular culture. Something that's gotten.
That's a bit grand.
But something that's become so popular that is kind of used to soundtrack these seminal moments in sport, whatever it is.
It's just a nice payoff for all the hard work you put in. That's what it is. It's just a little high five to yourself. So they're really enjoyable. Or when you go to a concert and there's 30,000 people singing back the song that you recorded with this band, so that's also a bit like surreal. You're just standing there in the middle of them, watching the crowd, not even watching the band, going.
So what's your day like then on a day-to-day basis? What's your day like? I assume you have a studio at home. You have a space at home you work from. Yeah. I know you're working in Camden Studios as well.
You're doing a lot in Camden Studios.
Brezzy Studio.
Yeah. So I've just finished doing the Blizzard's new album, which is phenomenal. That's been a roller coaster of an album to be on, because that's like recording a big rock band. It's very, very rock and big characters. So that's actually been one of my highlights in the last few years. This Blizzard's album is just phenomenal. It sounds like a classic album. You just the pride when you do something. But yeah, so I've been doing that in Camden Studios, and there's a studio in Swords called the Mill Studios. That's my base, and then I've got a wee place where I mix at home. So there's no average day, so it splits. So there's days when I'm producing with a band. So say I go in with a rock band, and you'd be working kind of 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And you might be working on an EP, which is like 4 or 5 songs. You might spend a week and a half, 2 weeks doing that EP, and it's just tons of fun. Just load of fun. It's a lot of people just having a crack, making great music, loving it. It's like going to camp, and no real world matters come into the studio at all. You don't even know what time it is, what day it is.
It's almost like you've built a fort. Yeah, and you're in that fort.
A safe fortification of happiness. So recording is just the funnest thing in the world, and it still is. I've never had a bad recording session. It's just people laughing, you know, and then getting serious about it, and then, you know, talking, just a very open space. So that's recording, and then mixing is when I'm on my own. That's when you're kind of stuck with your head, and you're doing your best to make all these little files on a computer sound like something that sounds on radio. You're trying to make it commercial and big.
Do you still get the butterflies a little bit? Do you still get, like, not anxiety, but you still get, I need to make this work, when you're hearing all those bits and they're not quite together yet?
Of course. Not when you're recording, you do, because depending on the band, either they're a very young band and they've put all their money in to get into a big studio, and, you know, they want it done properly, so you're kind of with them. You're like, oh, it just needs to be great, you know. But when it's a bigger band, there's a lot more responsibility, because you have to remember, if you're not on budget, on time, if that album is delayed, you could be upsetting a whole company. So a live band might have 10 staff, from their live engineers, their tour managers, their monitor engineers, guitar techs. And if that album isn't out in time for the summer season, they can't do the festivals. So if you're just a bit late, then that band can't gig for that. All those other people can't gig for a summer.
So there's no time to be precious.
No, you can't be precious.
Yeah.
No, never precious.
You have to get on with enjoy it, but get on with the job.
You have to get on with the job and do it to the highest level. But you've got many hats. You've got the artistic hat, but then also you have to know you have to project manage this. You need to make sure it comes in on budget, on time. You know, because you have to, especially with a big band, because you've got a record label and you've got an A&R team on your back, you've got management on your back, then you've got the artist. So there's a lot of people constantly looking for stuff, and then they all want it early as well. In kind of media world, they all want, actually, can we get that next week? You're like, no, we can't get that next week. You want it next month. You know,
this stuff takes time.
Yeah, so you have that to control. So you can't be just an arty-farty person and just hopefully make a record. You have to be on top of your game on all levels to bring it all together.
So it must be nice then to be working with a band like the Blizzards and to be working with Prezi, who you knew Noel anyway.
Yeah.
So and then to be seeing, and then just see him hitting all those bits that they're supposed to be hitting, and hitting all those.
It's a joy. Like, Blizzards is the newest album I've done, and it's just been an absolute joy, because I've known of the Blizzards, obviously, but I never did a record with them. We did 1 or 2 singles last year, a year ago, that went brilliant, and we decided to do an album. But they're just a completely different band to who I thought. You know, like, I always thought of Brezzy as just this guitarist, you know, like rock guitarist, but he's like a virtuoso piano guitarist. Like, he can write a million harmonies, and phenomenal writer, phenomenal musician, like way above anything I thought, you know. So being in a studio with highly, highly creative people like that is fantastic. It's like you've unlocked all the levels to Mario straight away. You can just go to any world, you know. So that's just been amazing. And then he owns that studio, Camden Studios, and it's just...
That's a stunning studio.
It's brilliant. You know, you're in the middle of Camden Street. It's bad for the diet and the food, because there's just...
there's so much around.
There's just like,
there?
What type of burger do you want today? What do you mean type of burger? So it's just, that's phenomenal.
Bunsen, wow, what are we going to go with?
That's number one.
Yeah,
Bunsen. So being in that location as well is fantastic. It's also a hub of lots of interesting people coming in and out. So you'll be recording and some other superstar singer will come in and you know, chat for 5 minutes. So it's a real creative little spot. It feels like a classic studio from days gone when the industry was booming.
There's been some insane artists who've recorded in there already. Ed Sheeran's been in there.
Ed Sheeran, yeah. I don't know. I don't work there all the time, but I just see all these people walk in and out.
Yeah.
So it's just all these famous people just in and out. Or even I saw, what are they called? DNC? Who's that chap? One of the brothers from the Disney programs.
The kids like
you know, the kids like him with the curly hair and the pretty face. You know, what are they called? Anyway, you have all these superstars coming in and out. So it's a super artistic, creative hub. So that's been a fun experience being out there. And then just the Blizzards in general. Amazing band. Deck, the drummer, is probably one of the biggest powerhouse drummers in the country, and Justin on guitar. You know, it's just phenomenal. Lynchy, they're just an amazing band.
Is there anything cooler than just seeing a really good drummer just going at it?
It's the coolest thing ever.
Isn't it the coolest thing? It's always been the coolest thing. Drummers have always been the coolest.
I was in Camden Studios 2 days ago with, you know, Tebby Rex, their new R&B group. Well, rap group, I don't know, R&B. I don't know what you call bands nowadays. Anyway, so they were there, and it was a song with Tebby Rex and the Blizzards. And Daffy, he raps in Tebby Rex, has never seen a drum kit almost in his life. And he was watching Deck play drums. He's like, oh my goodness! Like, he's just like, this is amazing. He's just used to someone going, you know, he's watching Deck like sweating and he was just blown away. I was just watching him there, and so it is phenomenal when you see a drummer do his thing, because it's such a physical game, but it's musical. Like, so it's an amazing thing to watch.
What do you think with somebody, I suppose, like it's different in the production and it's more live, just from seeing somebody like Ed Sheeran live where they do the hooks, he kind of records the hooks as he goes, because I went to see him in Crow Park years ago, and you come into this 80-something thousand seater stadium, it's 83,000, and it's this little redheaded guy on stage. No backing bands.
Is that the review from entertainment.ie?
That's the review from entertainment.ie. This little redheaded guy.
What's he doing?
Doing chart-topping music, but he's just got this pedal, he's got his guitar.
Yeah.
So for you as a producer, for you as somebody who knows how this is put together, is that mind-boggling to you, or is that something you just understand from
again,
seeing?
it's what I was saying earlier. It breaks it down to the song. People don't care. Like and when I say they don't care, they care about the song. They don't care about all the bells and whistles usually. That's why some of the biggest selling albums in Ireland are live albums. If you've ever looked back on the chart history of Ireland, it's live albums. People just love interacting with humans and hearing good songs. So even if he didn't even have a guitar, he'd still sell out that place with his tunes, you know. So no, I think that's amazing to watch him. Brave. I love anything Brave. So I think he's just brilliant.
To be able to stand in front of like that many people and be that confident to do something like that.
I was at that gig you're at.
Yeah.
And it was because Kodaline came on, didn't they?
Yeah, proposed on stage.
I was standing on the stage as well, like behind the screen. No one could see me, obviously. And it was just one of the weirdest sensations on earth. Just because there was no band. It was just him standing there. And I was just behind this little, I don't know what it was, drape, you know. And just the energy from all these humans was just bizarre. I don't know how he does it. Like, it's
even in that, to still be kind of like being a nice guy and not get a massive ego off the back of all elation from millions of people.
Yeah, he's one of the, everyone says it, but I met him 2 or 3 times and he's just so sweet. He's just like, you're lovely. Come on, let's go for pints. Let's play Mario Kart.
Yeah, no, it is. When you meet people like that who are, you know, I'm super famous,
unaffected.
They're unaffected. They're still the same people. That's the nicest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of, you know, you kind of go, thank goodness for the human race when you see people just being good humans and not just being overly nice and being sweet, but actually being doing good things, you know, proving it. So he seems a really genuine bloke. Is
there anybody left, and I'll let you go now soon enough, but is there anybody left who, and you're still very early in your career, that you would like to work with, that you feel like, I know you're saying the younger bands are the kind of the most satisfying people to work with because you get to see them through, but is it like an artist you'd be like, I would love to work with their sound, I would love to work with their lyrics, whatever it is?
Yeah, someone asked me this a few weeks ago and I stumbled as well. Because the problem is, any artist I love their records. So why the hell would I want to do a record with them? Because I love that record. Whatever team they've put together to make it blows me away. I love it. I don't want to mess up that formula. You know, so for me, it really is about super new, untouched artists, like new writing, new ways of thinking.
See, that says to me that you don't really have an ego. You really don't, because if you're like, oh, it's great, why I can't really, where some people would be...
Well, it's not ego, it's just, it's selfishness as well, because I'll only ruin it. I'll ruin my ego by mucking up whoever's record.
But you're not going, I want my name in this because I feel like I can do that with it.
No, like it's like, I've talked about as I said, like Coldplay earlier, or even I'm trying to think of a band, like say Rage Against the Machine or something. No, I'd say no. I'd say like, can I watch the recording session? Or can I... But no, I don't know if I want to. I don't know what I'd be bringing.
Rage Against the Machine's an interesting one because they're so heavy.
Yeah.
You know, it's something maybe you haven't really quite done before.
I used to do heavy music years ago.
Yeah.
And I fell out of love with the recording of it because it's hard to explain. It's finding it's within that kind of heavy rock scene. It's finding songs that are fantastic, that kind of cut through, and it's a real special art. Where it's very easy to just make a heavy song that means nothing. So for me, it's like perfect pop songs done heavy is something I've always loved. So it's kind of hard to find that balance. But then I skip around. Like I love pop music. Like I love Katy Perry's second last album. I just love pop. So, and then I love radio. Ever since a kid, I'm obsessed with radio. So I love anything that has a good tune to it, a good beat, you know, a good beat to it.
What about something like EDM music, something like dance music? Because I know artists who like literally frown upon.
Oh no, I wouldn't. No, I'm not naturally an EDM fan, but then it's all kind of cross-pollinated in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. where at the moment, like when you listen to American pop music, it's kind of like French dance and EDM mixed with kind of like with British folk at times, or and American rock. It's all this kind of smorgasbord. How do you call it? Smorgasbord.
You were right the first time.
Sounds like a shell from IKEA. But so it's kind of a big melting pot of sound. So yeah, EDM was never a natural source for me because I'm always been like a guitar, rock, indie, blues person. But then I love what's happening with all these fusions at the moment. So yeah, I don't look down upon any genre or music. Some of it I don't get, like trance. I don't get trance yet.
Yeah.
But in 10 years' time, I might be the biggest trance head you'll ever meet out in Portmarnock Beach. You know, but
Have it left to mangoes just on the beach, yeah.
Where the crowd still goes. You know. So yeah, I'm very open. It's only music, so I can't close down a pillar of it.
For you then, how does it feel? And you know, I think I probably already know your answer to this, but if you have a track that, and I'm sure it happens, but if you produce a track for The Script or whoever, one of these big bands, and then it's remixed, how do you feel about like a certain, like whoever, it might have been Kygo or something like that remix? Yeah. How do you then feel about that product? Because it's obviously different from what you started with.
Yeah, no, I love it because
has that happened before as well?
Yeah, it happens. Like it happens in all songs nowadays. Like it's sent off to like 20 people to remix, and you get these. Some of them sound terrible, some sound amazing. So you know, it's just mad because you've already made the song, so someone's gone and just kind of cut it up with a wonky scissors. So it's really interesting to hear what's going on. So I'm not a dance head, but I really appreciate what they're doing, especially the ones that are kind of doing it on an indie kind of dance wave. So they can be very, very interesting, especially when they're adding stuff. It's just boring when they just speed it up and put a beat behind it. That does nothing. But when they actually do something creative to it and add different melodies and change the dynamics, it's fascinating, you know.
So what's your now next couple of months? It's the Blizzards mostly. You're going to probably meet some bands, hang out, play some Mario Kart, get that connection, produce their albums. The Blizzards are the next.
Yeah, finishing the Blizzards record, which that'll be probably out early next year.
Where does Brezzy find the time to do music nowadays?
I don't know.
You just wrote a children's book.
Yeah, I know. Like,
where did you get that?
Like I said this. I was with him 2 days ago. I was like, I've been with you like every day for the last few months,
scribbling on a notepad.
But he's, you know, like when I'm in a room with someone, I can barely write a text message. He can write a book and do a seminar and Facebook, and you know, he's just
start a website.
Like I don't know where he gets it all from. He's phenomenal. So yeah, Blizzard's out next. Then the Kodaline album's coming out in sometime September-ish, around then.
Is that pretty much done now, and it's just waiting to be released?
Yeah, that's done, waiting to be released.
That's exciting, right?
Oh, it's really exciting.
Because Kodaline are now, we're like, I know, selling out Marley Park. Like that's the level that Kodaline are at now. And you were with them since talent show.
Well, them selling out Marley Park is exciting, but what's even more exciting is them selling out a place around the world. Like they're just back from Indonesia, I think last night or somewhere, and like Portugal, and they're getting chased on the streets in some of these countries that we didn't know they were famous in. Like they went to Portugal last year, and like Steve the singer got chased down the street by hundreds of people, and that's bizarre. Like he can walk.
Sounds scary.
He can walk around swords and it's fine. Or Indonesia, they're huge, and Jakarta and everything, and then South America, like places they've never been before, and they're a few years into the game, so that's even more exciting now. And you're getting all these crazy people adding you on Twitter and from all these far-reaching countries. Yeah, so that's quite exciting. So yeah, they have a new record coming out, and then I have a few more records. I'm kind of working now. I'm booked up till like next March, pretty much, doing a few records and EPs and singles.
Do you like knowing what you're going to be doing for the next 8 months? You prefer it to be?
Hate it. No, yeah, like I should be born to be lazy, so I hate being this busy. So that's a huge issue. So. Yeah, no, it is. It's
you know what you're doing for you. This goes to be years.
Do you know what? I'm incredibly lucky though. Like to be doing a job I love, and knowing I'm able to kind of support myself and my family through an art form that I adore, just makes me the luckiest lad in the world, you know, kind of way. So I never take that for granted. You've
got a very understanding wife who knows if he doesn't come back and wife. Kids, you know, you don't come back till we're stuck with a band till whatever it was, midnight or something, or you're recording all night.
Yeah, like
she's in the industry, so she understands it.
She knows it really well. So she understands how much we've both given to music and how much we take back from it, and she knows the way artists works, and she knows they haven't a clue about clocks and times. But I've got kids now, and you can't be just a workaholic. You can't be just working 20-hour days. You kind of need to work and live at the same time. You need to exist while you're living and try and enjoy yourself, because there's no point being a fantastic producer who's doing amazing albums and not kind of living your life and being a good human. So it's really important that we kind of have a bit of a work ethic, home ethic, where we finish at certain times, and I think that's really healthy, you know. So that's something we all try to achieve.
Again, I mentioned the ego thing. You're not somebody who just seems to have an ego at all. Would you ever do one of those TV talent shows? Conceivably somebody comes to you and was like,
sing.
A new version of the. Like, would you judge on one of the shows if somebody came to you to do that? Because that's something you could, if you haven't already been approached for, I can see you definitely been approached for.
I've been judge on talent shows before, and
You're too nice to be a Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you've been mean.
The only thing is, I am incredibly honest, though.
Yeah.
But in a nice
There's a difference,
way.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's constructive.
Sympathetically.
You're
Positively
crack. Do something else
truthful.
for a living.
Yeah.
Chrissy Bingham said that, where when you had the music school, you'd have
Yeah.
somebody talking about how their daughter or their son is the best singer in the world, and then you'd see them and you'd be like, oh God, how do I tell them this?
Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything bad with those talent shows either, because a lot of those kids who are going to show off their voice have no other outlet in the music industry. For some of them, because a lot of them aren't guitarists or piano players, and they're not jamming with a band, and none of their friends sing. They're kind of stuck with this great voice and not knowing what to do with it, So sometimes those TV shows can be a good outlet and find good artists, like just that chap Callum Scott. His voice is insane.
It's incredible, yeah.
Phenomenal.
Britain's Got Talent he was discovered on, wasn't it?
Yeah. And now he's turning into a great songwriter, and you're like, So it kind of reminiscent of like Motown as such, where you'd have Berry Gordy would just find these phenomenal singers. They mightn't be in bands, they just have a good voice. He puts them with the right song, with the right. Yeah, it's a machine, but that cog wouldn't have never been in it, So there is room for that. Is it something I gravitate to? No. Like I like music a little rawer than that, and a little bit more organic. But then from that, you can get these amazing little gems, one in every 10,000. I can really appreciate. So, no, I think there's room for all of that.
I have to say, it's been surreal and brilliant to kind of see.
Surreal
and no, but when you knew somebody when you were a kid. Yeah. And then I think it was when the Kodaline song was on that it was a Chris Pine, Casey Affleck movie. I can't remember the name of the movie.
Oh yeah, Finest Hour.
Finest Hour. That's it. Yeah, it was a big Disney movie. And I remember seeing your name attached and going, "Holy shit, Phil's doing all right." You're already doing all right with Kodaline before that.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant to see. He's such a nice bloke, but to see your talent kind of thrive and to see your ego in no way
still the same size.
Yeah,
still contained in that.
No, you didn't get out of my face. You've got like 4 assistants outside, all waiting with different bottles of water at room temperature or anything like that. But genuinely, I'm delighted for your success, and I'm sure it's just the beginning.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here.
Philip, appreciate it.
Mike.
Thanks a mil.
Take care.